A couple of years ago, we filmed a no-budget sci-fi movie called Human Gauntlet. Until now, it has never been available online. In this episode, we're showing the trailer, followed by a discussion about the making of the film. And as a special release for the audience of Team Futurism, the full film is linked below in the description. Thanks for watching.
About a year ago, I was in the ER 3 times in 1 week. They tried to give me all these drugs, nothing worked, so I thought, let me take a little bit of acid, and I realize that my body is freaking out because I'm not supposed to be in it anymore.
He's trying to do human trials with this technology, but they're not legal.
They want to advance. They want to grow. They want to hit the next evolutionary step. That's where the money is, man.
As we all know, dangerous science stuff calls for the Tyvek suit. What does it do?
I just need you to trust me.
Okay.
This was my idea. Like, this was about enhancing the human meat suit and achieving the highest potential, not blasting out of it with some kind of, like this. It's just getting a little too overboard.
Hey, so let me set the scene here. It was 2020. The pandemic had just struck, and it was in full swing, especially in the Bay Area where we were. Everyone was masked up. No one was leaving the house. You couldn't go to the grocery store, without being totally kind of, eyeing everybody like, oh, don't get too close. One thing that you kind of could do is you could kind of hang out with a couple of friends. They were like, if you have your small circle of friends, you can see them because it's healthy to see people. So I had you were in Berkeley, I was in San Francisco, and we had our buddy Sam that we were hanging out with, and he was in Sacramento.
Right.
And I'd always had this dream of doing a no-budget film with you guys in particular, because you have those natural, acting chops.
Thank you, Peter.
And we've always done weird film projects, just kind of for fun. But this was a chance where I was like, we got nothing going on. You can't do anything. No shows, let's make a film. So you and I got together and we kind of brainstormed some general directions to go. I gave myself about 3 months. Was it 3 months? I think it's roughly 3 months. And I said, I'm going to come back and I'm going to have a script. Guaranteed, if I hadn't given myself that deadline, it would have taken significantly longer. At this point, I'd written a couple of screenplays. I definitely had done some in kind of a quick time frame. 3 months is kind of I think, about the minimum amount of time that you need to write a full script.
Okay.
So this was particularly easy because I had your voice in my head and I had Sam's voice in my head, just knowing
Nice.
you two so well. So it was really easy to kind of put together. And also, we had this backdrop drama that I want you to describe a little bit. You called it the prayer chain. What was the prayer chain?
Yeah.
'Cause that was a big inspiration for the film.
Wow, taking me all the way. That's so funny. Wow, that's so funny. Okay, so the prayer chain. So I was I was in a period of pretty heavy psychedelic use. Side note, totally therapeutic. Not doing recreational psychedelics to just have fun, but actually sitting down and alone in a room doing psychedelics to try to just kind of mine the old meat walnut and dig out some ideas and such. And one of the things that I feel like I stumbled upon was I wanted to have community. I wanted to have that community centered around something fun and funny and healthy. And it was in the middle of the pandemic, and so getting together with people was more or less not possible. But also, I think I've never been particularly good at bringing people together in person anyways. So I started this little group on Instagram where and at the time Sam and I, right, because our buddy Sam and I, we worked together for a while, and he would come down here and stay with me like 3 or 4 days a week, and we got obsessed with push-ups. So we got just totally obsessed with push-ups, and we were, all kinds of different shit at doing push-ups in weird places, just making sure we were doing a ton of push-ups a day. But then we got into this kind of rhythm of saying something funny and then doing push-ups and trying to make each other laugh. And so there's something syncretic about that. There's something like holistic about that, where you're laughing, you're trying not to laugh, and you're doing push-ups. So it's, humor and exercise kind of merging with each other in a fun way, which, opens up the spiritual pores. And so I started this group where that was kind of the ethos, right? You upload a video of yourself, hopefully every day, but just as much as you can, where you say something funny, you try to make the group laugh, and then you do like 10 or 20 push-ups, or whatever your ability was. At first it started with people who could do that, but then there was a few people in there that were just kind of starting on their fitness journey, so maybe they just do like 5. And it was a way that people could support each other to exercise and not take it so seriously, maybe, and something that maybe would motivate you to do it every day, because maybe you're doing it for yourself, or maybe you're doing it to make other people laugh, or maybe you're just in it for the community or something like that. And it grew, and I think at some point it had like 10, 15 people in it. And I started calling it the prayer chain, because Sam and I, irreverent humor, a favorite flavor of mine. We would call when we would, because we drop down and do push-ups like 5-6 times a day. We would call it the call to prayer. Like I know there's a bit in there somewhere. There was a bit in there somewhere. I don't know where we should have pointed towards, but we definitely should have laid out like a yoga mat and like pointed it towards some landmark on Earth for the call to prayer. Maybe like some fucking famous gym or something like that. So yeah,
that's pretty good. You can always resurrect the prayer chain. You could bring it back.
I would love to. I would absolutely love to. I feel like it's something I was in a much less consistent place in my life, and so I kind of let it fall away. There's vulnerability to it, to being on camera every day. You have to kind of show up as you are, and I think there's just something. There was a time where I was comfortable with that, and then it kind of fluctuated. Now I'm in a space where I feel pretty comfortable on camera most days. So I think it would be fun to resurrect that. And I think it's an altruistic group, even if sometimes the humor isn't funny, or it's maybe, I don't know, offensive or something like that. It's making people laugh, and it's getting people buff. God damn it.
Well, when you first described this to me back in 2020, there was definitely like a cultish element to it too. I mean, I think that there was definitely some humor, but there was a lot of like cultishness about it. And you and Sam were both embodying some weird, I don't know, guru-y
some weird
type
David Koresh energy.
Yeah, like for sure, like full on, like both of you. And I tapped into the tension that was into you guys. And I mean, most of it was fiction, manufactured most of it, but you were the one in the film who wants to transcend your body and move to like a higher thing. And so we introduce this element where you meet a local biohacker who's played by me. And so you start injecting yourself with some weird chemicals that are going to like allegedly take you out of the meat suit or make you into a higher being or something like this. Whereas Sam is like, no, like we need to like augment the meat suit itself. It's all about like living in the real meat suit.
Right.
And having like health and being one with your body, these sorts of things. You're like, no, let's get out of your body. So that was like the core like philosophical tension of the film, was that tension between you guys. Right. And it was so much fun to explore because there were a couple of scenes that I didn't didn't like write out too carefully how the dialogue would go. I just kind of like presented the outline, and then when we would get together, it was always yeah, it just flowed, and like
Every
you guys
scene.
snapped into character and just like go, just like go, you know. And so those are actually some of my favorite moments in the film when you guys, and it's always like one of you is always on Skype. That's like an element of the film, like partly pandemic-y, is that like all three of us weren't in this. It's just funny to think about. All three of us were never in the same place at the same time, but we were all in the same film. Because one of us was always Skyping in.
Right.
So those are some of the best moments in the film, I think, when you guys are really going head to head and playing out some of that drama through the dialogue.
Most fun I've ever had. I mean, I've always wanted to be an actor. I think it's something that I've really I've lived a lot of different lives. I moved a lot as a kid, and so I had to be an actor kind of naturally. You know, you get to a new place, and also there's something like when you move like every year as a child, or maybe even a couple times a year. There's times when it's sad. There's times when it's fun. There's also times when you have this moment of realization where you're like, oh, like nobody knows who I am here. Like I could be anyone. And but I'd never gotten to kind of put that like road test that. And it was so cool, man. I got to give you, you know, in the interest of giving you all the credit, because you deserve all the credit for this. You orchestrated this entire thing. You wrote the script. You may think that you're saying that there's no brainstorming session between us. You just showed up to me with a full script. Like I didn't help that at all. Like you were just like, hey, I wrote this script.
We had one. Before I wrote the script, because I was in your apartment and we were just hashing out ideas, and I was like, I kind of want to do this direction with like a biohacker that's kind of like layered on top of this like prayer chain thing. And then I went away, and then I in fact came back and I was like, here's the script, guys. We're gonna film it. We're gonna start next week.
And like how honored, right? As like a friend and as a creative and as somebody that's always wanted to be an actor, still want to be an actor. Any producers out there, dude, just I've had like a Harvey Weinstein joke just loaded up, but I'm just gonna keep that one in the pouch for now. But what an honor, man! What an honor to be tapped, you know. And also too, I mean, for me, the prayer chain was something that was awesome. I was in a very spiritual place in my life at that time, and for like your best friend to come and be like, "Hey, can I write a script about your life?" I was like, whoa, yeah, fuck yeah, man, that's amazing, dude. Like it made me feel like I was living a full life as a creative, that like you would see something that I was doing and you know, take it to an absurdist kind of level. And god damn it, that was so. There's a couple scenes in that movie where I was someone else for a minute.
Oh yes, I see it, absolutely. Yeah,
that was cool.
Yeah, part of my spiel and why I won't even talk about this today a little bit is just that I think that if you're like a relatively creative person, just given the technology that exists today, you can make a movie with your buddies.
100%.
Maybe, I mean, we've done with me and Sam and some people in Sacramento, we've done like short films before. So this wasn't exactly my first rodeo, and this was probably about my 12th screenplay I've written. So it's not like we'd never done anything in this world before, but like at the same time, I had never made anything beyond like 7 minutes of like footage on as a film. And then we made, this thing's 90-minute feature film. Yeah, this is my pitch. I think that like it's a great bonding experience for people to do something of this level, like making a record with some people. Although like there's something, I don't know, even harder about making a record perhaps, because music can like suck in a really painful way, in a way that's like viscerally insulting. Whereas even a shitty film, there's something kind of comical about it. I don't think our film was shitty. I'm just saying, like, I think that our film is highly watchable. Given that it's, if you come into it knowing that it's a no budget film, and that we're not professional actors, and that we did it like as a group of friends over the pandemic, and we intentionally made it so that it's kind of like low budgety. If you realize those constraints, I think it's a pretty damn good film. I think it's pretty damn good.
I do too, and I want to say too, you edited the entire film yourself, and
I did,
that's amazing, man. I mean,
and just iMovie too, by the way. I didn't even have like fancy software.
Final Cut.
I've used Final Cut, but I didn't have it, so.
I think it's especially contextually that it is a super interesting movie. I think that there's, even if you're not absolutely gripped by the narrative, there should be scenes in there that get you. I think there's a lot of standout scenes in that movie that are just really good, that are really emotionally compelling or visually compelling or both. And I stand behind it 110%, man. I think it's worth watching big time. Man, we had that fucking moment where it was like Amazon was gonna have it. Amazon was like thinking about it, and I was like, oh no.
Amazon Prime accepted it. They just never played it, and then it went off the thing or whatever. It's still up on it's on Film Hub, and a couple of places are looking at it apparently. But that was kind of unfortunate. I'm kind of down to just, like, given the nature of the project, just to DIY, put it out there on. It's right now. We are going to have it linked here in the comments.
Nice.
And I'll also be kind of like maybe tweeting the link a little bit. You'll be able to find it if you're watching this, but it's right now anyway. It's a non-public link, so you can share it with folks. But as of right now, it's not something that you can actually like find by searching or whatever. But maybe it will be eventually. I'm not entirely sure how it's going to go in terms of like potential distribution. Again, no budget film. There usually isn't a huge appetite for this sort of thing, but. Yeah, it's going to be out there as of like the release of this podcast. So yeah, definitely go check it out. Yeah, like, I don't know. Any last notes about the film? I mean, I think that, again, maybe just like to tag on to my little rant of previously, I think it's a cool thing to make a film with friends, and I totally support it. And I think especially, this is how I was going to round out that little topic. AI is going to be making films pretty soon. AI is already like infiltrating, Screenwriters Guild and on, as we've discussed in the past. That has nothing to do with the fact that it's still a blast to go out and make creative shit with your buddies. And it's still like, I don't know, AI couldn't have done what we did because it's so raw and like goofy and kind of off the wall in terms of like where it goes. So yeah, I would say to anybody out there who's even thinking about it, it's a totally worthwhile endeavor. And like, who cares if it sucks or fails? It's just the process itself, especially in terms of making a film, I think is so worth it. It's so much fun.
Yeah,
it is very hard. I gotta say, we didn't even touch on that, but it was grueling and it was so hard and exhausting. And we would both show up sometimes and we would not be into it. I remember we'd have these conversations and you'd be like, dude, I was so not into it today, but then like I forced it and then I like it clicked and it worked. But we were like, one night there was a scene in particular where we were up till like well past midnight, and the scene involved
the chip scene, the chips and weed scene.
You had to get like hella stoned. You had to like keep drinking like this cheap beer and like eating cookies. It was like this whole scene of like gluttony and stuff. And you went for it, man. Like you were like gone by the end of the scene. When we were done filming, you were gone. But that's like my favorite scene in the whole film is because it was like beyond acting at that point. It was like
I went
you're
full
gone,
method, dude. I branded.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think my real final note is this, man. In order to do something like this, you need someone who you need to get yourself a Peter Clarke, because you need somebody that is regimented, that has intent and has the ability to follow through on stuff. And you are kind of preternaturally gifted at that as a writer and a creative. Like, you're very stable, you're very strong in your ability to execute things to completion. And that's not something that is super common in the creative world. I think when it is common, those people end up being successful. Because if it were up to me, I don't know if I would have gotten it done. But you showed up every time you said you would, with the scenes ready, written out, ready to go. And, so much of the driving force of that movie getting made was completely because, as co-collaborators on that movie, you lifted so much of it. You bore so much of the weight the logistical effort of putting the script together. You would send me like scene pages to do for the next shoot that we were going to do. You had locations scouted out or locations that you had in mind, and even if we were ad-libbing stuff, there was always a structure to the shooting schedule. So you were really like, you were the creative director, you were the producer, you were the screenwriter. We were both doing camera work, but realistically a lot of it was you. And you have to have someone like that in your group. And then you also have to have someone that is just preternaturally gifted actor. Of course, you're also gonna need one of those.
when I was writing the script, I was very often being like, okay, don't forget, none of us are actors, And I had the hardest time doing my scenes when I had to like be on camera. I would throw you like genuinely hard scenes where you had to get emotional. You had to like, I don't know, like even cry almost in a couple of scenes. Like it was like tough shit that I wrote into that film. And I like legit thought that we were going to have to kind of like dumb down some scenes. Instead, they were like, I mean, I don't even know. I felt like I had a professional acting crew, because it was amazing, actually. I genuinely, you have a talent and a gift for the acting thing. If I didn't know any better, I would have thought you'd taken like hella acting classes and shit.
Just school of life, dude. School of life. Yeah. Make cool stuff with your friends though. Low stakes, low stakes, and realistically that is one of the highlights of my creative life so far up to this point. And I've led a really full, rich creative life up to this point. And also, I mean, man, what a special thing to do during the pandemic, when there's so much fear. Everybody was panicking and having all of these really visceral and fearful reactions to what was going on, and you and I were harnessing a lot of that energy and funneling it into something creative. And I think that's also a special thing that you like. If as a fellow creative, if you're watching this, doesn't matter what's going on in the world. The world could be burning around you, and if you've got the hustler spirit for creativity, you can funnel it into something cool. And then that is one of the dominant memories of the pandemic for me, is shooting this movie, and that's
me too. Yeah,
amazing.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
Hey, well, check it out. Yeah, it's a solid hour and a half of entertainment. It's free on YouTube at the link below. Check it out, and hey, give us a shout out if you liked it.
Give us a shout. Hire Peter to write your next screenplay, and
hell yeah,
somebody put me in a fucking Netflix movie already, dude. I'm trying to be the next Gyllenhaal, man.
Come on, Netflix,
dude. Come on, man. I'm trying to go to Afghanistan and be a tough, no nonsense soldier that's a little bit sensitive but trying to find himself out there, dude.
I see you as a Lawrence of Arabia character. I see you playing that role.
A white guy that's appropriating Arab culture.
I actually recently watched that film. Pretty good. Too long. But
I've never seen it. I'm drawing from the title, really.
Okay. Well, the dude kind of weirdly looks like you. He's got like you could have played that role. Hey. Anyway, Netflix, shout out old Devon Carsen over here.
Come on, baby. Come on. Somebody give us jobs, man. We're
That's right.
We're working hard out here.
Us and AI. Okay, cool.
That's right.